Hi, in this short lecture, I will talk about Python list comprehension and nested list. List comprehension are concise ways of create list. It is using a expression for item in some sequence if condition. You might be looking this is very terse, very confusing. So let's look at an example how to use list comprehension. In a list comprehension, you might have worked on the list using this method. Given my list equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, your list start with an empty list, and I append the square of the item of the list value into your list. So this is like a 5 lines of code where there's a 4 lines of code or 3 lines of code to create your list. However, using list comprehension is much simpler. In here, do you see the for loop structure for item in my list, which is similar to the original function or the original for loop? For every item in my list, I want to square the item, and that will create an item in your list. So for every item in my list, square the item, and then your list will have all the items square. Did everybody see how much simpler to write a list comprehension? Typically, we write list comprehension on something that is very short, like using this for loop turn into list comprehension. Let's look at another example. The prime between start and end. Again, I create a new list, the result, and in this case, there's a condition. If it's a prime number, then I add to the result. So I can also do the same for num in range start and end. As you can see, the same for loop structure. I only want if it's prime num, then the result take on the num. If the number is a prime number, then add it to the result. And this is how to use list comprehension. It is a very concise way of creating a list. How about nested list? To use a nested list, we use double subscript to access the nested list. In here, the nested list have hello 2.0, 5, and this list 10, 20. So the nested sub 3 would give you the list 10, 20. And let's look at this in a pie chart so we can see what's going on. Let me put a debug statement here and run debug on this. And let's go to the console. Stepping through this. So the inner list is 10, 3, as you can see here. And when I print the inner list, the inner list is a nested sub 3, which is 10 and 20. As you can see, I print 10 and 20 at the output. Item equal to inner list sub 1 and print item. So inner list sub 1, inner list is a list. So what is the index 1 element? In this case, it is 20. And you can use a double subscript to get to the 20. Nested sub 3 sub 1, which also give you 20. Take a look at how to use double subscript. And if I want to get the 10 in 10 and 20, then I would say nested sub 3 sub 0. So given the following list, how to display the first element? how to display the second element, how to display 3 in the second element, and how to get the letter C in ITAC 136, and how to display ITAC. You will need to use double subscript in some of them using slice operator. I want everybody try it, and we will review the answer during class. Write a function called create underscore list that take one parameter, num. It creates and returns a list containing num number of random integer between 0 and 1000. Use iteration, append, and the random module. So let's try this here in Python. Create list, and let me call the function create list that take a number and pass. Again, I just want to make a syntactically correct print create list sub how about 10 random number, and let me run this. I'm just checking there's no error. Alright, since I need random number, so I need to import random. So let me do that first. Using list pattern, start with the empty list, the accumulator for n in range num, because I want to do num number of time iteration. Result dot append, using the append method. What do I append? I append a random number between 0 to 1000. Random dot rand range from 0 to 1000. And don't forget to return the result. So let's try that. Here's a 10 random number, and every time you run, you will get 10 different number. Okay, now can you take what I just did and create a function called create list comp that take one parameter num? You create and return the list containing num number of integers between 0 and 1000 and use list comprehension. Can you take what I just did, convert it into a list comprehension? I will review the answer during class.